Hello, everyone. Welcome back. My name's Cureton, Senior Journalist for XR Today, and we are bringing you the latest and greatest from the VR, AR, and XR industries. We have on a special guest as well. We have on Sasha Wallinger, Head of Web3 and Metaverse Strategies at the Futures Intelligence Group, which has now been acquired by Journey. So thanks for coming on today, and glad to have you here.
Thank you. Very happy to be here.
Okay, so I have another interesting conversation with the Journey crew. We'd like to talk a little bit about some things related to customer shopping experiences and the role of XR technologies, especially augmented reality. So we want to start with the first question. We talk about augmented reality and how many companies are implementing it. What are some of the benefits of using this for customer shopping experiences, and how have they contributed to those things like boosting sales or metrics or other things?
Yeah, I think what was really interesting to see throughout the pandemic with various brands, the evolution of the gift card, right? The evolution of a virtual commerce emoticon where you could actually present, something to a loved one that could frankly get there with shipping cycles and schedules and such, but also that made sense, especially in a younger audience initially, that was applicable to something that people were actually spending time in. So it was a different level of experiential gateway, and the gift card was initially for e-com sites, but a lot of peers of mine, mom friends frankly, found that Roblox was the choice for gift cards for a lot of people in their constituency, in their audience group for during that time. And I think what this meant was that people's eyes opened to the ability for the virtual and physical to collide. And I think that there's a lot of this that we're seeing now as we lead into this 2022-23 holiday season, where we're looking at these experiential moments in commerce as a whole. So what I see there to be is, the categories, in AR, there's certainly this necessity of having a sense of the experiential and wanting to really dive into the sensory moments within commerce, within the shopping patterns and behaviors of different consumers. But also it's really exciting to see people are starting in a virtual space and coming back in through the physical space. So there's this loop, and I think that that's really enticing, both for the brands that we partner with at Journey, as well as industry-wide. I also see this in the fashion space where I have most dexterity. And I think that looking at New York Fashion Week and London Fashion Week coming up, there's a lot of interest around the virtual shows and the virtual extension for the shows. Fashion shows used to be all about commerce from editorial perspectives as well as retailers. And now there's a spectacle and an entertainment value of these places. So I think we're looking at different moments across the various junctions where the virtual is navigating the consumer into different commerce roles, and the technology is following and sometimes, meeting them where they are or even leading the way. So I think there's quite a bit of fun to be had in these regions.
Absolutely. Yeah, and there's a lot of different brands that are tapping into the power of AR, and I think it's driving a lot of engagement with customers. Now, we can start with one of the things. How about designing these immersive experiences? How do you do that to accommodate the customer journey? Like, are there specific things that you try to look at when you design them, or are there some things that you acquire through research and development and things of that nature?
I think it's a mesh between the both. Like we absolutely at Journey are so respectful of the strategy and the process. I come from brand, and so certainly to stand up any type of program requires a lot of different stakeholders in the room and a lot of different budget, and there's a lot of different expectations around the KPIs and the return on that investment. However, we don't want to just do something that's transactional and that's just a hype play. That's not really where we see there to be, engagement and also authenticity for the brand. So what we do is certainly develop a comprehensive strategy and roadmap, just like you'd want any project to have. What looks a little bit different in the metaverse Web3 ecosystems there is a lot of different new tools that we get to experiment and play with. So it's kind of exciting for our audiences. I think with regards to the aspect of, the whole world building too, I think what's really exciting is that we get to have this moment where we're transferring the theoretical into the applied. And with our world building team working so comprehensively with our strategy team, we get to scenario plan and we take into account that exciting moment within Web3 of gamification and internal organizational change and bring it to life so we can model out different opportunities for our clients, and we can also make sure that this comprehensive suite of platforms that we're all working within, various Roblox, Sandbox, Fortnite, Core, what have you, is the right fit for the audiences that we're developing for. And then also taking into account the whole landscape of Web3. So maybe like a VR, AR approach is a better fit for our clients before they endeavor into either developing a scenario for an existing platform or exploring creating their own instance. So I think just that roadmap is really critical to making sure that we're poised and we come up with a moment that really is relatable and is well adopted.
Brilliant answers. And we can talk a little bit more about the way customers kind of respond to these different experiences. Now, sometimes we look at it like some may be receptive, others may not. But what do you think? How easily do you think the consumers will actually shift to using metaverse experiences in the near future? Do you think that many will easily adapt to it, or do you think some may be a bit reticent to do so? And how can brands actually bring them over, to convince them or to persuade them to use these types of immersive technologies?
Yes, so full disclosure, I don't come to this world from technology vantage point. I come to this world from being a storyteller and being curious about how to connect brands with audiences. So it was a journey for me. It was a very easy journey for me because I felt like it was a creativity tool to add to the toolbox, and that's so exciting. I think a lot of times there's a hesitancy on behalf of brands to make sure to do something right or first versus with the right efficacy and with the right value and creativity and experimentation and fun, frankly. And I think that there's certainly the awareness that brands don't want to engage in this ecosystem just for hype value. There maybe was a time and place for that, but I think that's over. I will say too that we're still so new, and so we're still defining and building things that are first because they're the first time people have done things like this, right? But with that becomes a little bit of a hang back. I think there's some really amazing brands. I've had the pleasure to work with Gucci and Nike and some other really amazing brands at H&M that have been really first and forward thinking in this space. But there is this leveling up of saying, who's going to go first and what are we going to learn from that? So there is, a curiosity. What I love about the organizations that we work with that aren't necessarily ready to build, they're extraordinarily ready to be educated. And they're seeing the value of listen and learn sessions. They're seeing the value of internal education moments to spark creative ideas with their teams internally. So I think there's a place at the table for everybody. It's a matter of understanding where you are and where you want to be as a result of either a strategy or world building road mapping that's happening, and also where you want to both meet the audiences as they are or bring your audiences into these ecosystems. So there's quite a few contentions made, but I think people are really enthusiastic and coming to it in the best ways with creativity and interest and enthusiasm.
Excellent. Yeah, and speaking about that, we can go even further, just a little bit deeper dive into it. Now we talk about certain things like security and privacy. These are major issues that have been addressed by companies like Meta Platforms, HTC Vive, a lot of others, Microsoft. And I want to know a little bit what would happen in these particular situations. Just in case, for example, customers say, "Oh, we don't want our data or our biometrics, uploaded into new metaverse systems." How would they work with brands to ensure that these preferences are protected, or that personal data and security is protected?
Yeah, I think that, my specialty is certainly not data, but I will say on behalf of brands, what I really want to be investigative and protective of is that we are doing just what we would do in the physical, if not better, in the virtual. And so I think with Web3 being this, and I say Web3, but we're really talking about this bridge between Web2 and Web3, so it's more of a 2.5, if you will. I think there's this opportunity for Web3 2.5 to provide a new set of rules and a new set of data privacy opportunities for the end user and also the artists and the designers, right? And so I think what can happen is an early onset of, we have with NFTs smart contracts that are super dialed to exactly how both the artist and potential reseller want to come across. Similarly, when we're building platforms, we want to engage with the right platform that meets the need of the organization's audience. So if we're thinking about a more mature topic, maybe Roblox isn't the best scenario, or various other platforms, but we also want to be receptive to there's new people coming in at each point to Roblox where maybe a parent is embarking with a child and being able to gameplay in that zone, and also understanding too what there are from a sense of creative limitations to each area. So I think what's really important is to be calculated in the sense of what is the most important thing to achieve, and then look to see the platforms are doing great work in their own way, shape, and form on how to make sure privacy is of value, and also to salute those people who are coming in and make it safe and comfortable for people as a whole. So again, we're still so new. I don't think that there's a layered set of best practices that are the be-all end-all, but I think making sure to consider these points of reference is really critical. I also think that we have to remember, again, the value of fun. We don't want to make these worlds places that are not enjoyable. When we have the opportunity to build things that are actually creative and complementary and frankly, maybe a little bit more inclusive than the quote unquote IRL instances. So I think that it's really the task is on the hands of brands to flesh out during this strategic road mapping sessions what real looks like, and that's a big responsibility. We're working with a client right now who's developing, actually a couple clients who are developing virtual avatars, and so making sure these avatars, even if they're not real, represent the ethos of a real individual. Of course, they're going to be future focused, so they might have wings or a dolphin tail or something to that effect, but we want to make sure that the people who are behind informing those avatars are actually, their stories are being told. And I think that that's a nice bridge again between the physical and the virtual, so that there's a humanity behind, and it's not simply just speculating and playing at one thing, but it's playing with intentionality. And I think that's a really high value to uphold.
Excellent. And, it dovetails a little bit into one thing that I like to follow, especially with the industry, is the fact that many companies as well as organizations are working to create some kind of standards, ethics, and certain protocols that are used to, work with customers, clients, businesses, other enterprises, and even other intergovernmental levels. So I think it's also really great that the companies themselves, the people designing these experiences, are also setting those rules to help kind of get the ball moving on that way. So yeah, very good work on that. Is there anything else that you'd like to add or speak about or to mention about what Journey is doing at the current moment?
Sure. And I think with Journey, we are really, obviously very focused on building real places in whatever ecosystem you choose, right? So that's certainly us with intertwining the physical, the virtual, and voice studios. But what I think, just as an aside, under the leadership of our Chief Metaverse Officer, Kathy Hackle, what we're very focused on is creating accessibility for women in Web3. I think that's always something that I like to utilize whatever kind time I have within an interview such as this to welcome a variety of voices into technology. I am not a technologist by nativity. I've grown into this space because other women and men too have gone before me to help interpret and paint a different lens. So I just want to encourage young women and girls today who are maybe very tech adverse or very not opposed to learning, but very unclear as to how technology can be a fit for them to find the right path to this work that they can. I think there's so much creativity, and we need such a constellation of voices in this space. So I really welcome everybody into this ecosystem. I think it's really fun, and there's such a need for a diverse set of voices. So that's what I'd love to share with the whole. And I think the organization of Journey would echo that absolutely across all that we're doing.
Brilliant. Excellent final thoughts, and thanks so much for sharing that. So once again, we've been speaking to Sasha Wallinger, head of Web3 and Metaverse Strategy at Futures Intelligence Group. They are now part of Journey, and you can follow them at journey.world if you want to check out the website. Also, if you'd like to follow our particular conversations that we have on our YouTube channel, please join us at the XR News hashtag at Twitter, LinkedIn. And thanks so much for joining us today. My name is Damon Cureton, Senior Journalist for XR Today. I'd love to see you again. Thanks so much. And until next time, bye now.